Hey, listeners, thank you so much for joining us for the second season of Midlife at the Mailbox. Over 8 years ago, Denyse and I met during a chance meeting at our neighborhood mailbox. Over the years, our friendship has blossomed into something bigger.
We can't wait to tell you all about it. And although we no longer share a mailbox, we really are closer than ever in real life. This meeting at the mailbox inspired a friendship, a business relationship, a lot of laughs, a couple tears, and now a podcast. So come along and listen in. We're so glad you're here.
It's Friday. It's Good Friday when we are recording, and we're having a really good day. The sun is shining here in Chicago. It's like in the mid 40s. What about out in California?
Also sun shining. We're getting, excuse me, like high 60s, low 70s, which is good for us. It's been very cold here in California for us and rainy, but we're heading towards warmer pastures, I think.
Let's hope. Oh my gosh. We were just down in Miami for spring break, and I like to say from our time of when we were in Florida, and then like all the times that we've gone back, you cross over a certain like line, and like the sky becomes like this technicolor like brightness. All of the trees are beautiful and green, and the grass is always green, and it's just bright and sunny and cheerful. And then I come back here and it's not bright, sunny, and cheerful, and it's been raining all week. And Wednesday it was like 70, but rain. So Denyse and I have been kind of like toying around with what we wanted to talk about for this episode. And it's just us again, because we had such a good time chatting about social media and habits a couple weeks ago that we, wanted to bring ourselves back on and chat about some other conversations that, that Denyse and I have offline. So I was getting ready for our podcast this morning, and I came across a perfect quote that I think really will segment in our episode today. And are you familiar with the movie Ferris Bueller?
I am. Also, wasn't that filmed in Chicago?
It was filmed in Chicago.
You've been on your Chicago movie settings, right? Tour this week. Did you post something about the Home Alone house in Winnetka?
Yes. I'm teaching my Instagram course to some women through the Winnetka Community House. And it's called the Women's Exchange. And I walk out after the class was over and I look up and I'm like, oh, that's the Home Alone house. And we've passed it before, but it's on a street called Lincoln. And so I snapped a picture of it and posted it that I was.
How apropos, Lincoln in Chicago. Lincoln in Chicago. They get creative with their names.
So keeping with our Chicago movies, Ferris Bueller, fantastic movie. But the quote is, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it, which segues nicely into what Denyse and I wanted to chat about today, which is, how are you doing with your resolutions that you made at the beginning of the year? It is officially spring, and with spring is a time for renewal and regrowth and sunshine and new beginnings, right?
Traditionally, our calendars, whether it's cultural, religious, also mark this time, right? Amy mentioned it's Good Friday. It was Passover a couple of days ago. It'll be Easter holiday on Sunday. There was also the Persian New Year. Nowruz was a couple weeks ago.
Where are you with what you had kind of set yourself up for your New Year's resolution? How are you working towards it? Did you get off track? Is now a good time for you to circle back to some things that you were initially planning to do?
Sure. I think in the beginning of the year, we talked about like my manifesto and the things that I wanted to attack this year in terms of like my business, and then also just some personal habits that I think will make me more effective. One of those was trying to wake up and work out before my kids were awake. I'd say I'd give that a grade of a C. I gave myself a C on that. I've done it more times. Oh no, I'd say like I do it 2 or 3 times a week, 2 times this week. Not every day this week, but I think I'm finding a balance. I mean, we kind of revisited this in the sandwich generation piece, and maybe even after that, when those small habits. But something I'm still working towards, but something I can continuously improve on. So that's one thing. I think the one area where I have made progress is potentially more than the waking up early, though, is dedicating more time to building my business. I have noticed that I'm, spending more time trying to build that the lead funnel, spending more time on social media. I took Amy's course, Think Like Instagram. That was uh, a great step towards that. And then as well, just kind of, I'm going back to more networking. I had a
Yeah,
great
me too.
networking. Yeah, I had a great networking meeting this week. I haven't even got to tell you about it yet, but it was a good one. And it just reminded me that it gave me some encouragement and reminded me that I like networking and that it is fruitful. So another practice what you preach moment. Sometimes I post those on LinkedIn or Instagram because I work on these things too. Even though I coach and talk about it, I have to walk the walk. So.
Absolutely. And the networking piece has been huge. I mean, I joined our Chamber of Commerce here in Glenview for this year, and I'm in a couple of women's networking groups. And I was actually, Thursday, I was at a networking group. So yesterday, with the women's group, and it's great. And it's just like really vibrant, and people are excited to be there, and, wanting to help. This particular group I was a guest at, and the women that were part of it were very like, how could we, not necessarily towards me, but just in general within the group, like, how could we help you? Who is your ideal person that you're looking for that we can connect you to? And just all really nice, and just very like upbeat. And there was a birthday, and they celebrated the birthday. So like they just really truly like work to make, I don't know, just I got like a really good vibe when I was even from when I walked in. It was really
I mean,
great.
that's, our famous, or not famous, but our line we repeat often: in-person networking is not dead, or in-person events aren't dead. And it goes to show that, I think I said it to someone this week too, the return to community, right? And maybe it's people from returning sooner than I have, but that is, I think, a nice feeling. And I think people have finally kind of come out of the last 3 years, doing a lot more of that. I think, you did see that in 2022, but I feel like this year it's more like 2019 than I felt in 3 years.
Yes. I feel like, I agree. People are really, the events are starting to, people are starting to really partake in the events a lot more than they were even last year. I feel like, yeah. I was at a workout class yesterday, and the room was packed. And it's been a long time since I've been in a, like, in a workout class where like there was no, no space. So people are back. People are out and about. And if you're not making that time for yourself, for your business, for your growth, for your email list, like I would add that piece to it, because, it's definitely an important component in terms of building your community and network. And that's been a big piece for me, is like, from one of my goals was to work on my email list and growing my email list, because as I will tell prospective customers, and I sell, and I will tell, my clients, is that, and I tell myself, is that the health of your business is based off of the strength of your email list. Right. Or it's a big component of it. And, if you don't have people on your email list that are going to cheerlead for you, then, you're just kind of like sending information out to, dead air. So that's something super important. And so the more that, you network and you participate in events and you get people's cards, and all right when you walk in the door, like that should be the first habit that you have, is that all of those emails get added to your to your list. And I always will like send a very quick like follow up, like, thank you for having me. Here's, just a reminder, my information, whether or not someone's going to, take action on it. But anyways,
and I mean,
that was
even if you're not an entrepreneur building your own business, or, it's just nice to, I think, I mean, I know we're pretty extroverted and Aquarians, but I mean, even if you're not, right, it's just the return to some sort of normalcy, and also the return of being in person, right, versus being virtual or just not doing it at all. I think that's a nice boost for spring as well. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm kind of feeling that. I'm feeling that. So
well, and it brings like there's a level of like enjoyment too. So not only is it, from a business perspective, right? Not only is it helping to, promote your brand, but it also just gets you out. And, I think one of the other pieces, from a personal standpoint of things that I wanted to, work on at the beginning of this year and put into practice this year is, moving beyond just like my self-care routine, because while that's like important, is also like finding things that bring me joy outside of work. And, whether it's taking a class or learning something new, or, if, like adding a different like fitness routine or taking walks, like there's just doing things that are for you. I think are super important and something that you find like that you have a passion for. I was with my chiropractor a few weeks ago and she asked me, she's like, Amy, what is something that you're like truly passionate about?
The fifth
And I
grade
was
question.
like,
What you do in your fifth grade?
but not even passionate about from like a work perspective, like just physically, like
Yeah, I know.
what are you passionate about? Like, Denyse, you had a week this week. You called me on one of the days. It wasn't like one of your best days. Nothing was going right. And thank goodness you packed your clothes for your dance class. But like, that's a passion of yours. Like, that was something, yes, it's health and moving your body, but it's also something that like brings you joy and allows you to feel very vital when you go and you take this dance class. And so I was super proud of you that, even when you weren't necessarily feeling like 100% like I really want to go to this dance class, you still did it. And that is something that like you're truly passionate about. I can't wait till I can like start working on my like faux garden out front of my house. I am trying to grow a strawberry right now from another strawberry.
Oh.
Now that the weather is turning, last year I didn't do any planting, but that also like brings me a lot of like I enjoy doing like, some gardening. So I'd like to get some like big wooden planters so that I could like put some herbs and stuff like that in and get some other flowers going. So yeah.
Nice. I like that. No, gardening, that's true. And I mean, I think that's all about living in the present, right? I mean, that's what I think we're talking about today too. It's the small changes, but it's also the resolutions. Like, I mean, it's something I'm trying to do more of, live in the present, right? And I think that's what we're talking about today. A lot of it's just maybe trying to inspire all of you if you're feeling stuck or in a rut or whatever it is just to try to enjoy those micro moments and do those kinds of things.
Yeah. And definitely just like do the things that you are putting off. Like why are you, like I think ask the question is like, why wait? Why not now? Travel. If you don't have the finances to travel, like take a road trip, just kind of like move your mailbox, we like to say, just like move it for like a day or two. You can, find a friend that you could stay at their house and just, enjoy, company. Or one of the, we had a great time when we went down to Miami. We stayed with my cousin. And so that was really awesome because we don't really get to spend one-on-one time. Like a lot of times, when we're getting together with the family, everybody is together. So this is probably like one of the first times that like we literally had our undivided attention of each other for an entire week. Well, maybe like 5 days, but like we were together. Granted, he was working, we were doing a little work and so we weren't together 24/7, but it was like a really nice time. And I was talking to my aunt afterwards and I said, it's like really cool to see him like as an adult, because I even felt like this way, and I don't, how you feel with your brother, but I feel this way with my sister when she started dating her now husband, and then they got engaged, and then they got married, and they're taking all of these life stages, and they're always going to be like your little like siblings, but they stop being like the little sister, and they like suddenly are a grown up and adult, right? That has a house and a mortgage and
Yeah.
kids. And so I feel like when I look at my cousin who's 37 and has done very, very well for himself in the music industry, and he has this beautiful home in Miami, and like, he doesn't have a car, but he like Instacarts and, calls Ubers wherever he needs to go. Cause Miami really like functions like a big city in terms of like, so it's kind of a pain if you do have a car. But I like was joking with my aunt the other day. I'm like, he even like orders his own toilet paper, like just,
Okay.
I know, just like funny things like, and body wash, like just things that you don't necessarily like think about.
Well, he's an
And
individual, right? I mean, when you're
he's
kind of
a
functioning
grown
in
up.
yeah, when you're functioning in the family unit, right? And you probably see him a lot of times with his parents, right? And I don't think he's married yet, right? So probably his mom steps in a lot when you're when you're in person, right? As moms do. No, I could definitely relate to that. The ring bearer in my wedding. So
Yeah.
we've been married like 18 years in October. The ring bearer in my wedding got married over the weekend. I mean, he's married, so it's
That's crazy.
it was crazy to see him. I mean, obviously, yeah, that was a big deal for it's my distant cousin of mine, like her son. And yeah, it was, I was like, oh, little Peyton, he's all grown up now. And, he's in the army, he's married now. And he was just 5 years old a second ago. Or
But it
3.
just but it just goes to show you that like that quote is so true, that life does move really fast. And, it's, we're just kind of, having a conversation, and this is like how Denyse and I, typically like converse. It's like we have one topic and it skews into another topic, and that's what we like, and then we'll circle it back. But I think it's just fun to see these people in our lives that are functioning, that are obviously functioning, but they're
How do you think our parents feel?
I know that, like we once were just like the kids, and now we're, actually adults. I mean, and I don't think of myself as an adult, but I am an adult, and I'm raising a child, and, we have all the important
Yeah,
things, but
that's another midlife phenomenon,
yes.
right? Or midlife moment, really. I mean, I was in Trader Joe's today and something like kind of, developmental in Ella's life happened recently. And I saw a little girl with her dad. She was about 4 in Trader Joe's this morning. And I thought to myself, there's no more little girl. Like it's a big, she's grown up. She'll be in 6th grade, which is in our, district, our school district, it's middle school and
Yep. Caleb
lockers
moves
and
schools to Keela
yeah.
moves schools too.
Yeah, so I mean, I looked at the little girl and I don't usually I embrace every new developmental stage of my kids. I feel like I'm excited. I'm excited for them to grow up. I don't typically look back and be sad about that. But I will say that today I kind of felt a little ting of that, twang of that. I was like, oh man, it's gonna get rough before it gets smooth again.
I know. And then it's when you kind of are like, I miss the babies. Like, and then, remind myself, I had my niece a few weeks ago, and I was watching her while my sister and my brother-in-law went out, and she slept over here, and we had a great weekend. But I'm like, okay, it's time to go home. And she's going to be 4 in a few weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, they don't sleep in. Caleb, like, will sleep until like today. He didn't have school. He slept till 9:30. I'm like, this is amazing. Like he takes after Mike and I, where we are certainly not early risers. But anyways, it just really like the life it just kind of flashes before you. And I think one of the pieces that I took away, coming out of COVID with COVID, is that it does like just, you've got to do the things that bring you joy, that make you happy, find that passion, take that leap, start the business, continue working your regular 9 to 5 if the financial means are not there yet in whatever it is that you're looking to do. But don't wait. Like, what are you waiting for? Right? We're clearly not getting younger. I mean,
no one is. But
no
if
one
not
is.
now, if not now, when? Right?
Right.
There's that thing. If not now, when? Right? And I mean, sometimes I get overwhelmed with thinking about what I want to do, but then, I'm not always good about this, but this is also something I'm trying to do in the new year. So maybe this is another mid or quarterly check-in on the resolutions. Writing some things down or lists, because I like to cross.
Totally.
I know that's something you're doing, Amy. You've been really good about this year. But even if I write it down, like, make this doctor's appointment, and if I do at least in the next week, it's not swirling around, right? Or same thing with like, I'm in that book club and I'm supposed to be getting a head start on the book, and I wrote it down. Read remarkably bright. Read remarkably bright creatures for 20 minutes. I still haven't gotten there, but I will. Right? If I write it down, I'll do it. But yeah.
So, I was reading my Atomic Habits book, and then Caleb and I discovered through the library, I have what's the app? It's called Hoopla. And through Hoopla, through my library, I was able to get a free login to utilize Hoopla for audiobooks and digital downloads. So there was a book that Caleb and he and I love reading at night together when we get the opportunity. We've been doing that.
That's the theme you guys talk about. Yeah.
Yep. We've been doing that since he was really, really little.
That's an atomic habit.
Yeah, it's an atomic habit. And so we've been doing it since he was little. It's part of his routine. The moment that he tells me that he no longer wants to read and, snuggle with me before bed, or even we still put him to bed. I will be really, really, I was telling you that the other day, I will be so
You'll have your
devastated.
Trader Joe's moment.
I'll have my Trader Joe's moment. It won't just be looking at little photographs of him as I
next to the avocados.
Next to the avocados, Denyse is breaking down in tears because
who could cry next to an avocado? I don't know. They're delicious, but I did not full on tears, but a little one. But yeah, no, that's true. I mean, yeah, it's how you can incorporate that into your life, right? And I think we hear this a lot too. Just to drop my favorite psychologist, Dr. Samantha Boardman, she did a check-in with all of her all of her followers recently, how are people doing, with this? And, the science shows, and that's what she was, mentioning, that this is not just, us trying to spew self-help or self-care or whatnot.
Yeah. And to follow up, Denyse, to your list, one of the things I spoke with my therapist about is that, Mike and I, we spent 3 glorious months in the Tampa area in 2021. And we constantly go back to how happy we were when we were in Florida. And every time we go, so we were back in Florida in January for Caleb's hockey. And we went back to the area that we stayed for a night. And then we were obviously just in Florida now and drove around, and we drove. So we actually got to see a wide variety of the state of Florida. And as we were there and we're driving, and then we start our conversation back on what is our plan? What is our plan to get to Florida, right? What does that look like to buy a second home so that we could start enjoying it? And, what's our plan? And my therapist said, sometimes these types of situations become a little too overwhelming to just physically talk about. So to your point about writing things down, is making sure that you're putting together a tangible plan, right? Just because you write it down doesn't mean that you can't change it, but start to put down a tangible plan. What does it look like for financial? What does it look like? What area do you want to be in? What is your timeline to get there? And so the same could go for as we enter this season of renewal, is write things down. What is it? What are your high level goals that you would like to do? Would you like to get out and walk every single day? Okay, that might seem like that's a lot. That's super daunting. So maybe it's I'm going to walk twice a week for 15 minutes and work up that habit of adding that walk back. But do the things that you want to do. Do the things that will bring you joy, or that you're obviously hoping will, bring you joy. Take that trip. Reschedule your birthday trip. Even if it's next year, but reschedule. Do the things that you want to do, and don't just sit idly by watching other people live the life that you are hoping
and sometimes
for.
those things, when you set short-term and long-term goals, I talk a lot to that about my clients, because a lot of times people will come to me, especially right now with a lot of big tech layoffs, and the job seekers tend to be a bit younger than I have seen in the past, and they might want to even be confronting a career change potentially, or they're curious about a career change, or they want to make an industry switch. There's so many different things, and a lot of times I'll coach them but they also have financial obligations, right? They're like, hey, I'd love to be doing this, but hey, I got to pay the bills in like 3 months. And, with the average job search taking 3 to 6 months, I'd be like, okay, well, if you have a financial need, we need to, let's get the short-term goals to get your financial needs taken care of through a job that you can get a little bit quicker. But maybe what's your long-term plan, right? What's your, 1, 3, 5-year plan, and writing those down and making small incremental progress towards that. Right. And I mean, we talk about that all the time. Right. But I think it's in the case of this, right. It doesn't even have to be like a career goal, right? Like you said, you're looking for a second home in Florida. Right. So what could you be doing this year to be doing that? Even if it's just
Correct.
like, hey, researching areas in Florida that are, within our price range. Right. Or, um, making progress towards that. And then, it gives you purpose, and also makes you feel like you're part of something bigger of your life, if you need that. Everyone's different, but
Yeah. But that also gives us the passion to, explore a new place. I have grown up and lived in the Chicagoland area my entire life. Like, I went to school here. I never left. So me doing those 3 months in Florida was like a big deal, because I got to experience an entire different area. You've moved around a lot, right? You have been up and down California. You've been here, you've lived in multiple different houses. Like, I literally went from my parents' house that I grew up in, and then when my parents separated, and my mom moved in with her then boyfriend, now my stepfather. They bought a house together, and I went to college, and then I lived in the city for a year, and then I moved in with Mike. Like, I haven't had, the experience of like living in multiple different places. And, one of my very good girlfriends, like, she keeps moving. I think that they're finally settled, but I've never, really experienced like living in multiple places, like on my own, like as an adult. So, it's definitely that is definitely on my bucket list to experience, other places. And, one last kind of thing to wrap up is, as I opened up our conversation with a quote from Ferris Bueller, I also saw this quote, which I thought was really, really interesting. And, just leaves you with that same question as, your passion. Like, what are you passionate about outside of, say, your job? Because we have one life, we just have this one. And why are you not running like you are on fire towards your wildest dreams?
yeah, that's so true. I mean, it is, I think it's truly a midlife phenomenon. I don't think at 20 or 30 I would have thought about this, but I think you get to an inflection point, right? And we talk about this a lot. You get to an inflection point and you're like, what's the next phase going to be? And I think it's unique, just given we're parents, you and I are parents, but even if you weren't a parent in your 40s, it's like, hey, like, what is the second half going to look like, right? Americans are living longer in general. It's going to look different than even it did. Well, definitely it'll look different than it did for our grandparents. But, our parents, it just, things will be different. And so but we have the power to make something a little bit unique and creative. And so, how we do that is interesting.
Yeah.
But people are yearning for it. I hear it all the time in my coaching. I mean, it is an interesting phenomenon for sure. I don't know if it's just because the last couple of years, but people have the energy and the motivation to do something additional. They just don't want to be, and it's okay if you wanted this, but like they just not satisfied with retiring at 62, a lot of people, and just, collecting Social Security and maybe seeing grandchildren if they have them, or,
They want
going on.
more.
Yeah. I mean, they want to continue this idea of fulfillment. A lot of people, not everyone. And so how do you kind of set yourself up for success? Success with that. My mic just dropped. And yeah, and setting yourself up for that midlife is a good thing. So maybe that's our generational phenomenon. We'll see.
Yeah, setting things up for a good. There's a woman that's taking my think like Instagram now at that women's exchange I was telling you about earlier. And she doesn't have a business, but her friend said, "Hey, take this class." And when I was chatting with her about like, she's like, "I don't know, like I don't want to just to like post and what do people like care about like what it is that I do?" And I'm like, "Well, tell me about some of the things that you enjoy." And she's I don't know her age, but she's definitely midlife. And I said, "Well, you don't have a business, like you do volunteer work. Like what else brings you joy?" She's like, "Oh, I ballroom dance." And I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, you ballroom dance? Well, that's what you should be talking about. Do people know that you ballroom dance?" Sort of. Like it's not, not something that I talk, that I like truly talk about. And I'm like, "Why? Why doesn't everybody know that that you
Yeah.
ballroom dance? Like that's like an exciting piece about you and allowing somebody to know who you are. And that's a whole community of people that you could be connecting with that also ballroom dance." So anyways, what I get, the point of where Denyse and I are at is that you've you've got this one life. Take those chances, put yourself out there, enjoy your time. If COVID taught us anything about being locked indoors, is that you know, we are many people are we need other people, we need things that we could do, we need to be able to drive our passions and, an excitement for our lives.
Homo
Um,
sapiens are tribal. So, yeah, that's true. So we need our tribe, some more than others. Amy and I need our tribe,
yep.
just being the type of personality that we are. And so we hope that this has inspired you, mailbox listeners, to maybe, check back in on your resolutions or your goals for the year, get inspired, get some energy towards, tackling them, even if it's just, making one little small to-do list, putting it on your phone, writing it down on a post-it on your mirror, whatever it is,
Write
that you
those
can.
bucket list items
Yeah,
down.
but that we don't have to wait until like December to realize, oh man, I didn't get there. And even if it's not perfect, right? I mean, I don't think it's a total fail, the waking up and, before 7 a.m. to be working out, but I could do better. And so maybe a more realistic goal is 2 to 3 days a week, and
I
scaling
mean,
that back.
just start with one. I mean, for me, if I don't like go back to sleep after I like let Caleb, like send him off to school, that's like a big deal.
Yeah,
He's off
well,
on the bus at 7:15. Mike and I are not early risers. I'm trying to just change my bedtime so I'm not going to bed at midnight every day, because then I can't get up in the morning. Yes, but
yeah. Well, I mean, hey,
progress, not perfection.
yeah, exactly. I mean, more than not, right? So, well, cool.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Mailbox. If you get this, we hope you have a happy, season of renewal and spring right now and thinking about those things. Maybe you've just gone back from break. Maybe you're going on to breaks, spring breaks. And so that's also, also vacation is an awesome time to reset and press the reset button with spring and warmer weather. So we wish you renewal, whatever you celebrate. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Nowruz, happy everything. And we will see you guys next time at the mailbox. Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for this week. In season 2, our goal is to share actionable tips with you. We hope this podcast episode leaves you feeling encouraged and full of midlife energy. But don't go away yet. Be sure to check out our show notes. And while you're there, click to join our email list. We promise we will send only meaningful content. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram too. for the show at Midlife at the Mailbox, or our individual accounts for our own tips and tricks at Amy L. Alex 28 and Denyse Rabat. That's Denise with a Y. Thanks, Mom. So that we can come into your inbox each week and your feed almost daily.
If you're a seasoned listener or just found us, we're glad you did. Make sure that you are following our show on your favorite podcast platform. And if you like what you hear, please share our episode with your midlife bestie and leave us a 5-star review so more awesome listeners like you can discover Midlife at the Mailbox. We release new episodes every other week on Thursdays. At least we try. Our podcast is a production from the minds of 2 midlife besties and produced with love by the very creative Amy Alexander and Denyse Rabat. Professional video and audio editing by Hivecast. See you at the Mailbox.
Bye.